Hi listeners, and welcome back to Afters. I've missed you. I'm in the middle of wrapping up a month of traveling, so expect new episodes of the podcast and mixes coming soon on our SoundCloud. Part of my travels brought me to London, where I had a blast partying at Unfold, Repost, Sex2, Freddie K's all-night DJ set at Fold, the Bunker House Party, along with some gigs that included Kylie Minogue at Hyde Park with Anita and Grace Jones at Crystal Palace. I was able to find time to chat with my friend Scarlett OMalley, an amazing London-based artist, DJ, producer, label head, and so much more. I met Scarlett after she played a set in Mexico City a few years ago, which made me an instant fan. And we've since had some incredible club nights across New York, London, and Berlin. Without further ado, enjoy this chat with Scarlett. Hi, Scarlett. We're here.
Hi, babes. We made it. It was a struggle at some points, wasn't it, getting here today?
Definitely.
London suburbia.
Yes.
Welcome.
I was on my way here and the train line shut down suddenly. Scarlett came through with her little red car and rescued me, and we're finally here.
We finally made it. It's very TFL vibes to be like, signal failure, bye. And just expect you to get on with your day and like put you in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
For you, it was Gunnersbury.
But yeah, how are you? What's going on?
I'm good. I'm pleased that you're here when it's nice weather. I know you said you got here. I mean, as I said that, the sun just went in. But I'm very pleased that the weather's good. I love summer. I'm such a summer. I should have been a summer baby. Like I feel like I should have been a July Cancerian instead of a November Scorpio. It's just my own personal belief. I love being a Scorpio, but November is just not my time of year. So finally glad that it's summer. And yeah, summer's been pretty easy for me so far. I mean, I did back-to-back festivals, but now I'm kind of on a nice... feel like I'm the housewife without the kids and the husband, you know? I'm taking it easy.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I mean, you definitely love warm weather. We're on tour in Latin America, and when we actually met was in Mexico City.
I know.
About like 2-3 years ago. I
know. I love that part of the world. I just feel like there's something so special about Latin America, especially like the music, the culture, the people. There's certain places in the world that you like fall in love with, and I went to Mexico, also went to Colombia, and I loved it. And I was lucky enough to go to like Medellin and Bogota and San Andreas Island. The first day I got there, it was raining, and I made sure I sat on the beach. So I was like, I came here to sit on a beach, so I will sit on a beach, whether it's sun, rain or shine. I loved it. I love it. I really want to go to Brazil next year.
Oh my God. Okay.
That's the next on my list.
Let me know, because I'm so down for that.
I love Brazil.
It's been on my list for so long.
I'm just like, it's massive, and I feel like if I could do like 3 or 4 weeks in Brazil, that would be ideal.
I think you have to spend that amount of time, especially like I really want to go to Carnival, so
I just don't know about the crowds for me. I'm so not a crowd girly. Like the only reason I managed to handle Glastonbury this year is by avoiding every single crowd I possibly could. Like even trying to get home at night, if it was too crowded, I'd be like, right, I'm just gonna have to stay out then, because I just won't get involved in a crowd. So yeah, that's the only thing that kind of worries me about Carnival in Brazil.
True.
Crowds, people. I'm like the DJ that doesn't want to see anyone. Like I'm a DJ, but give me an empty room.
So did you thrive during lockdown with DJ sets?
I know, doing them in my room. It's weird. I think because as a DJ, you know, you've got space and you know you've got security, so there's that level of thing. But I just know that if I'm going out as a punter, like you will not catch me in the middle at the front. You'll catch me at the back, and I feel like the sound's always better at the back anyway. So it's just a personal preference, but also as I've gotten older, I'm like, I just don't do crowds. I think when I was younger, when I was 14, I went to go and see Dropkick Murphys, which is like a Boston punk band, I think. I don't know if they're from Boston, I assume, because they come out with their like Irish, and I got crushed against the railings and like stamped on by this fucking 6 foot whatever guy, and they had to pull me out, and I had crisscross bruises on my legs. And since then I've been an avid, I don't do front of crowds, because as soon as I start feeling pushed, I'm like, nah, I'm out of here. And that definitely stems from that.
So punter, I haven't heard that word. That's just a person that goes to a gig, or like is that so? You said you're.
Is that not used in American terms? Is it not?
It's a sports term.
Yeah. Is it? What would you say if like you're a DJ, but then you go somewhere as a punter? What would be the American term for that?
I don't know if we have one, because I've actually, I've been doing these interviews, and I like that's kind of something that's come up actually about, how you enter a space as someone that's going to a show I mean, you're a punter, I guess. Like
yeah,
you're
you're
in the
a
back.
punter. Yeah, just as a punter, not a DJ.
Yeah. So even when you're going to like see a DJ set, you're in the back, or
Yeah, always. Unless, like, say I was talking to you about Slam Dunk that I went to in May, which is like a punk rock, hardcore, emo, like all the different variants of that kind of side of rock music. And I felt really safe in the crowds, which I feel like is saying something for maybe other UK festivals, because I was like in the mix, near the front of the crowds. This is like music that's meant for like a lot of body movement and like moshing and stuff, and I felt so safe. So I don't know, maybe the electronic scene needs to take some notes, because I never feel that safe usually, but I felt really safe there, which was nice, because I was like in a crowd but feeling I could just see space, and as long as I can see space, I'm good. Otherwise you'll catch me at the back.
On the car ride here, you were playing what was it, like pop punk, emo? How did you discover this music? Sounds like you've been to a lot of gigs growing up.
Yeah, that was my first like identity. I always think about, so obviously we've got a mutual friend called Shola, who produces for Lauren Laverne. Lauren Laverne now hosts Desert Island Discs. Lauren, I'm coming for your job. Like, I want to be the next host of Desert Island Discs, because I just think it's such a special podcast, and I always think about what would my Desert Island Discs be. And the first Desert Island disc would have to be Good Charlotte, Lifestyles of the Rich and the Famous, because I remember being at my friend Jess's house. This is such a clear, vivid memory to me, but being at my friend Jess's house and watching on the TV Lifestyles of the Rich and the Famous, the music video, and I was just like, this is me. I was like, this is who I'm meant to be, this is what I'm meant to listen to, this is who I am as a person. And as soon as I saw that, it completely changed the trajectory of my life in terms of like what I was into straight away. I was like buying Kerrang every week, exclusively watching Kerrang and Scuzz on TV, buying CDs, and then it was like Good Charlotte, AFI, Nirvana, Alkaline Trio, My Chemical Romance. 3 Cheers for Sweet Revenge is the only album I'll listen to, though. I feel like the Black Parade is trash. Sorry, guys.
Wow, that's like everyone's favorite,
It's the worst. Honestly, as soon as the Military Jackets come out, I'm like, you've ruined it all. 3 Cheers for Sweet Revenge was like the originator. And so I instantly just became super into like, I suppose what is seen as alternative music, and then started going out to gigs. And, you know, my first boyfriend was in a metal band, and so he had a Mohican, and we literally thought we were punks at the age of like 14, 15. It was just, such a dream. Punk babies.
Gotta see those photos.
I know. I've got a picture of me with like multicolored hair. Wow. I've got like a blue fringe and like pink all on the underneath. And then I went to school, and I like went to quite a rough school, and there was tons of rude girls being like, oh, look at her, she's tasting the rainbow. And I was like, you're all stupid. And I'm, you know, into stuff that's better than anything you could ever be into, because I was like hardcore, ride or die punk baby. That's what I always call myself, because it was like punk, and I was a baby at the time, you know.
You should use that as a title of something. It should be something.
From punk baby to jaded electronic DJ. Let's go.
Yeah, you would never expect you to have that music knowledge or background, given like if you see your DJ sets, because like we talked about meeting in Mexico before, but I saw your set. Was it what was the venue? Was it
Funk?
Yeah,
Funk Club,
something like that. Yeah. And you played. I fell in love with your set, and then we ended up talking over DMs. But like you know, you were playing like Live and Joy.
A lot of like 90s Jack in House. There was like, I remember there was Smoke and Joe, probably some Lady Monix in there. But as you know, when we were talking in the car earlier, I was speaking about how like I love music from a lot of different forms, many different forms, and like my tastes have changed, and some things stay and some things go. But it's like I was a pop punk baby for so long, and I still listen to that music, but it's only going to that festival that kind of brought it back for me, that has made me start listening to it again a lot more. And like, you know, I was exclusively only listening and playing to soul for a long period of time in my, say, early 20s to my late to mid 20s, and now like then my mid to late 20s to my 30s. Now it's been very kind of based around like house and tech house and Latin house, and and I still love all the music that I loved previously. It's just some music takes precedent over others, you know.
Yeah. Where did you grow up? Tell me about that.
I grew up in the house that we're recording this in, so I'm quite glad that we've got this here. So I'm in Perivale in West London. No one ever knows where Perivale is, but it's kind of near Ealing, in between Ealing and Wembley, to give you a bit of a geographical point. And this estate was built, so we have the Hoover building down the road, which is like a really beautiful piece of Art Deco architecture, and that was built for people to work in the Hoover factory, because it was the first place where Hoover came over to the UK, and so it was that industry. So people came to live in Perivale to work in the Hoover factory.
Hoover is in vacuums.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, but like Hoover's the brand name, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that was the Hoover factory down the road.
Interesting.
And this is why they built us. So yeah, this is where I am. I've went to uni in Southampton. I've come back. I've done seasons in Ibiza. I've come back. I lived in West Hampstead. I've come back. And but I always say, I was like, this place has a magnet for me because I always seem to end up coming back somehow. So who knows where I'll end up next? But I'll probably end up back here at some point again.
Very cool. So what brought you to DJing, like to the music industry? What was your segue into this world?
I always have this story on lock because I've told it quite a lot of times. So many people they're always like, how did you get into it? Like I've been I've been collecting records since I was 12. It started off with the picture discs from HMV of Good Charlotte, Taking Back Sunday, Less Than Jake, whatever, because I just wanted to have a physical copy. Then when I was about 14, 15 and I started getting into soul music, I started going to, and I used to do a lot of car boots, I'd buy like Stevie Wonder for £1 on Motown, or Diana Ross, or all the heavily pressed Motown presses that obviously made it all around the world. I'd start buying those records because I was like, I want to have songs that I love in physical form. And obviously I was just like a vintage girly from day dot, whether it was, I grew up on the rockabilly scene. My dad's a rockabilly, my mum was a rockabilly, so it's all like 50s style, and I grew up in that scene, so vintage was always like very prevalent in our lives, and dressing vintage and vintage things. My dad had a Chrysler, no, he didn't have a Chrysler, he had a Zephyr, 1956 Zephyr, like vintage cars, everything was very vintage. So for me it was like, oh, records, vintage. So I started buying records, got to uni, used to go and hit raves, and then we'd come back from the rave and I'd be like, right, we're all going to listen to Motown now, guys, or we're all going to listen to this. And my friend Fram was like, you should do a radio show, you love all this weird old music. And I thought everyone had just grown up on 50s and 60s stuff, but I had like quite an in-depth knowledge of it. So I went and did a radio show while I was at uni, and I had some DJs on called Soul 45 who are from Southampton. And I was like, well, I've got that record, and I've got that record, and I've already got that one. He's like, well, if you have so many records, why aren't you a DJ? And I was like, me, a girl, a DJ? Never. Like, could never even... I didn't even see doing radio as a career. I didn't even see doing, any of this as a career path. But they were like, right, our next gig in Southampton, you're going to come, you're going to bring your records. And I came with my records in a Tesco plastic carrier bag. And they were like, this is disgusting. So the next time I played with them, they brought me... little 7-inch boxes. They're really cute, amazing. These little Deckers 7-inch boxes, and they're like, you're not showing up to another gig with your records in a plastic bag again. So I was like, fine, fair enough. And they literally just taught me on the job. Then I'd show up to all of their gigs with some records, and they'd want to go and have a break for an hour, so I'd just DJ for an hour on my own. And that's how I started DJing. And
with vinyl?
Purely on vinyl. Wow. I only played vinyl for like the first 3 or 4 years that I was DJing. But it's hard to say when like the DJ career starts, because I'm playing at pubs, I'm playing in people's bedrooms. Am I really a DJ, or am I just someone who has records who wants to play them? I don't know when you'd class becoming a DJ at what period, but I just loved playing records. I just knew how much I loved it, and I only played records probably until about 29. I started my first ever gig was 2015, so that was 9 years ago, and I probably only started not playing with vinyl in 2019. Whenever my friend Matt's wedding was, that's another pinnacle. I ended up doing like a 4 a.m. tech house set at his wedding, because I'd been like, I've been doing my seasons in Ibiza and absolutely loved them, and been out to Ibiza and been really influenced by all the tech house that I'd heard in all these parties. So I'd put 20 songs on USB, and it was like 4 a.m. at his wedding. He's like, right, you're going to DJ now. So that was another person again, like forcing, like pushing me onto the decks. And I loved it. And so that's when I think that was 2018 when he got married. So from there I was like, right, I'm going to start learning how to use CDJs and go into digital. Yeah, I'm really lucky I've had people in my life like push me to do things, because I probably wouldn't have done them otherwise. Yeah, you need it.
Makes a lot of sense. I can see where Club Cowgirl comes from, and Cool Down Cowboy.
Yeah, I know. I always try to go something radio themed, because I'm going to put out another EP on the label soon. I've got some tracks ready, and when you're waiting on labels to pick them up and put them out, sometimes it's easier to just do it yourself, which is what I found. And I'm like, but what's going to be my next cowboy themed EP name? Because my first one was Scorpio Rodeo, my second one Cool Down Cowboy, and now it's like, what's the next one?
You know, I didn't pick up on the Scorpio rodeo.
Did you not?
I don't know. It went over my head.
Oh no, that's everything's
because you're like a Scorpio.
I'm a Scorpio.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
It makes a lot more sense now.
Yeah. So I've got a lot of things that kind of like tie into cowboy stuff. I've just always, people are like, where's it come from? I've just always loved like Western dress, that kind of thing. I even saw stuff from my A levels I picked out of underneath my wardrobe, and it's all these like cowgirl prints that I'd made and stuff like that. So I've always loved that kind of like Western cowgirl look. And then I remember once about 5 years ago, and this guy that I knew from uni just messaged me, and he's like, you're a vinyl cowgirl. And I was like, oh, I'm stealing that. I was like, I'm taking that. So I was like, it all kind of blossomed from there. It's all like people's influences, definitely.
Yeah. Can you talk about Club Cowgirl a bit?
Yeah, so Club Cowgirl, I started, was it 2 years ago or 3 years ago? I think it was three summers ago, but 2 years ago is when it started. So it was around this time 2 years ago. And I've been asked to curate a stage at Glastonbury. And originally I was going to take my old imprint, which was the Soul Exchange, which was solely based around soul music, hence the name, the Soul Exchange. But I'd kind of, I felt like I'd moved on, and my brand had moved on, and who I was and what I wanted to play had moved on from just exclusively playing soul music. So I wanted to take house music to this stage. So I was like, right, we've got to come up with a brand. So taking what this guy Ben had said to me on Instagram, I was like, vinyl cowgirl, and I was like, Club Cowgirl, let's go. So that's how it started. And then when I started the platform, I wanted it to be, it started just as a party, and then I wanted to, take it a little bit deeper. And I thought maybe I'd use it as a platform to give light and love to people that are working class in the industry. The music industry is very, very, very middle class to upper class, which is strange because a lot of music and a lot of culture is born from working class people. Like grime wasn't built out of money, grime was built out of struggle. So I find it really weird that it's monopolized by people that didn't create it. So just from that, I've kind of used it as a platform. Like I've done quite a few talks and quite a few chats about being working class in the industry and how people have made it through. Shola was on my first one actually that we recorded at Shola, who's a mutual friend of ours.
Yes, shout out to Shola.
Shout out to Shola. She was great as well, obviously, because she, is a really interesting person who works at the BBC, who's a producer, who's amazing. But yet she used to share a bedroom with her sister. So, it's stuff like that. It's like growing up, you're put in these positions where you're not meant to succeed in the realm that you're in. Yeah. And so I wanted to use it as a platform to talk about the issues, also put more working class people on. And then I turned it into a label. I'm putting out my own music, but also going to start putting out music from other people. And the only prerequisite is that it comes from a working class person. It doesn't matter if you're a woman, a man, or non-binary or whatever, but you just we came up from no money, so let's put you forward and give you a bit of a spotlight, because we don't all have every single day to work on our crafts because we have to work. Whereas I think that's where it comes into play, really. So Club Cowgirl is kind of like an amalgamation of my love for dance music, my need and want to put working class people on, and just the label, because I'm like, I want to put out music and I want to make it easy. So it's an amalgamation of all of that.
Looking forward to all of that.
You've reached the After Hours mailbox. I'm probably out at the club or catching up on some sleep.
It's Dan Steven coming to you with another installment of Mercury and Reggaeton. Get ready for the perreo to end all perreo in our 8th installment, where we celebrate Mercury in retrograde. Join us on August 2nd at Silo for the ultimate rave, packed with our signature perreo vibes, hardcore reggaeton, electrifying dembow, and a post-city adrenaline rush that will make you feel like you just left La Perla, Puerto Rico. This sexy lineup includes Oscar Enye, co-founder of the legendary Poppy Juice Party, Guari, our international DJ from the Bronx, Skywalker, our resident DJ and Puerto Rican Papi, Roman Sensation, the edgy resident DJ of NSW Hush, B2B with Oyster Sauce, the Horchata founder and its resident DJ. Hosted by the iconic and major Gay Letter, known as the Downtown It Girl, Linux, and the buzz that keep on buzzing, New York Social Bee. This lineup is going to be all the rave, so don't miss out on the ultimate perreo experience of the season. See you there.
Hey friends, Jay Scully of Safe Rave NYC here. We're a local harm reduction organization and part of the National Grassroots Harm Reduction Network. We are founded by veterans from DanceSafe and focus on providing education, resources, and testing in spaces where recreational drug use is happening. We're led by peers, and we create a judgment-free environment where experiences and knowledge can be shared openly. Some of our services include peer-led drug education, access to testing strips for things like fentanyl and xylazine, reagent testing to seek confirmation that you have what you think you have, access to naloxone, otherwise known as Narcan, sexual violence prevention material, safer sex materials, including condoms, hearing protection, and more. We'll tailor harm reduction services to the needs of your event. We're here, we're queer, and we're your peers, so reach out and connect with us to enhance safety in the dance music and drug-using communities. Find us at saferavenyc.org and also on Instagram as saferavenyc. Look forward to talking to you.
Welcome back to Afters. So what was the Glastonbury stage like? What was, I mean, you've done it 2 years in a row now, right?
I've done it three. This was my third year, yeah, and it was really fun. It's a cute little stage called the Meeting Place Bar. Every year, the sound system is actually amazing in there. So I'm kind of like, yeah, I don't know how they do it. In London, it's hard to find a good sound system. Mm-hmm. There, the sound system's wicked, and it's like a really nice little bar. Super chilled. We did a daytime thing. It's like nice because people can chill but people can dance, and I like that factor. I don't want anyone to come into a space and feel like you have to be stood up dancing. Sometimes you want to go out and listen to music, but you want to be lying down and doing it. I just feel like it shouldn't be for one size fits all. So I think this year it was really nice doing it in the daytime. Sunshine, chill and have a margarita or get up and have a dance at the front. Yeah, it was amazing. I had the best time at Glasgow this year. It was a really fun one.
Love it. That is on my bucket list. So maybe next year.
Next year. Oh, it was. Do you know what? I loved it. I had the best time. As I said, I avoided crowds because I'm not a crowd person. But it was the busiest. I mean, last year I felt like it was busy. This year they were just cutting off places and being like, "Sorry, full. How can a place be full in a field?"
Yeah.
This is what I'm thinking. Glastonbury needs to figure out their ticketing. Obviously there's always so many people that break in as well, but I think their issues, the one thing I would say is the only real late night places are all in the southeast corner, so Shangri-La and Block 9. Keep Silver Haze open till 7 or 8 in the morning, and you're not going to get that bottleneck of everyone trying to hit the late night places. We were at the Genesis stage one of the nights, 6 in the morning, and all I could see was people running towards me to get into this space, and I was like, it's 6 in the morning and it's not cooling down, like people still want to party, so there needs to be another space open late night for sure. People are here for it, so yeah,
definitely. So what is like an ideal DJ setup for you for a Scarlett DJ set in terms of like venue, crowd? Do you have like a rider, like I need this with me? Like,
my rider is actually a little bit ridiculous, like it's like sweets, fruit, blah blah and then when people come through they're like the tang fastics and some grapes, I'm like, yeah, I love it. I would say my ideal stage would be something replicating like Fabric Room 2. I love how the DJ is centered, and especially sometimes like when I played there years ago doing a disco night, you know, they kind of really hone in on like that centerpiece. I just think it's such an amazing space. Sound system's really good. Room 2 is definitely my favourite room in Fabric. So something that looks like that. Crowd, my favourite crowds have been when I've been in Amsterdam. So like Dutch crowd exclusively, please, because they, again, it's a no phones on the dance floor kind of party. But people were just there to dance and like really feel the music. And I feel like, I don't know if there's a bit of disconnect in the UK in some places that I played where if I'm playing and I see people at the front who are on their phones or chatting to their friends, go to the back. Like, you do not need to be at the front of this stage. You're taking up someone's space that wants to dance here. In Amsterdam, I remember going to see Ruby Savage and Shy One play at this random venue in the back end of nowhere. And there was probably only like 100 people max, but every single person was like dancing to their heart's content, and I thought this is like my ideal setting. I love people that just love to get into it, not too big, kind of dark and dingy, like a small room too, and people that are just there to party. Like, get off your phones. If you want to go have a chat, go into the smoking area. That's what the smoking area is for. It should be called the chatting area, not the smoking area.
Yeah, because not everyone smokes.
Yeah, I know. Now I've given up smoking. I still go outside, just have a goss.
Yeah.
Just have a sit down and a goss. But it's really off-putting for DJs when you go to the front of a stage and you just chat with your friend. Why are you there? Chat at the back.
Yeah.
Like, I just find it, quite disrespectful. So
set times. This is a question I've had for a few people. Like, is there an ideal length of time to play a set? I think like sometimes for some people 1 hour is hard to kind of condense what you want to communicate.
Hard. Yeah, 1 hour is really hard. I'd always say between like 2 and 3 hours. 3 hours, you've really got to take people on a journey. So I'm like, wait, I'll start off soft and slow, but it's coming. 2 hours, you'll get the lengthened version of an hour. Really, I think 3 hours, like, and maybe my 3 hours would be from like midnight to 3. I think that would be ideal. Like midnight, I'll start off probably like 126, really nice, kind of like bouncy Latin house, but like not too in your face. And then I want to be ending on some like heavy kind of hard groove stuff.
Love it.
Yeah. So I think 3 hours, 12 till 3 would be my ideal time. Yeah.
Nice. In terms of genres, you just described a bunch of genres. Are there any that you haven't played yet live, or that you want to explore musically on your own releases?
Yeah, I think so. Like, I've got this wicked hard groove tune, this like really nice Latin-esque hard groove tune that I've made that's 143, and like I rarely make it up to 143 BPM. I'd say at a push I'm making it like 135. So I've made this really nice kind of like Latin-y hard groove tune inspired by a lot of tunes that I've heard that I love recently, and inspired by a few sets that I've seen. And I'm like, maybe that's something that I want to explore a bit more, like faster BPM, slightly harder. It's not that I can't do it, it's just that I haven't so far. And I also keep on thinking, I'm like, if I bring out this tune, I've got to play my own tune out. So I need to be able to play sets to incorporate this song. So I've thought about that quite a lot, because I've really, like, this song that I made, I truly love it. So how would I then build on my sets? And I've started playing a lot more tech house recently, and not like cheesy EDM tech house, but just like really nice, like punchy, percussive rollers. And I feel like that's exactly what I'm digging right now. And a few sets that I played at Glastonbury were like exclusively kind of, like 133 BPM tech house. And this guy was like, tech house set tomorrow, like messaged me on Instagram. I said, yeah. He's like, yeah, I'll definitely be there. It's like, he said to me he hadn't heard anyone play tech house like that in years. And for me, I'm like, the way that I play the music and the sets that I play, people say it's like Circo Loco DC10 Terrace, and that's kind of my goal for the night that I want to play. Like DC10, if you're somehow listening, this is all I want to play. DC10, and I want to play Circo Loco. That's the party I've always wanted to play. So I think my sets are now reflecting that sound and what I love. And what if I walked into a dance floor, this is what would make me move.
That actually brings up a really good question for me, because there's oftentimes you go see a DJ live and they also are a musician, producer, but sometimes they don't play their music. Like, how do you feel about that? I mean, you just described building your sets around that. I loved hearing that, but
it really depends, because so many people make music that's so different to their DJ sets. I've spoken about this actually. There's a DJ called Gallegos, or Gallegos. He says he's from Bristol, and we've spoken about it because he loves to play like super pumping vocal house and tech house and blah blah. But you listen to his music and it's pretty like avant-garde and artsy, and like definitely more listening than like club music. Some of it, not all of it, obviously. You know, he's played Berghain before and done all this, and I just said to him, I was like, your music's I think my music can be quite different to what I play out. But I just think, you know, everyone's kind of, it's up to you. Say take for instance someone like Jungle, the group Jungle, who also do DJ sets. Like their music is very soulful and very poppy, and then when they do a DJ set, they're playing bangers. So I think that's why it's good to know when you're looking on the lineup, brackets DJ set.
Yes.
Then like come prepared, because I think growing up, when I first started going out, I'd always ignore the DJ set bit and go and see someone, expect something, and you get something else.
Yeah.
The way that I play the music and the sets that I play, people say it's like Circo Loco DC10 Terrace, and that's kind of my goal for the night that I want to play. Like DC10, if you're somehow listening, this is all I want to play. DC10, and I want to play Circo Loco. That's the party I've always wanted to play. So I think my sets are now reflecting that sound and what I love. And what if I walked into a dance floor, this is what would make me move.
Do you have any memorable DJ sets you've played, or any like crazy experiences? I mean, you were just at Glastonbury. I'm sure you have a lot of stories.
Glastonbury was really fun. I always think one of the craziest ones I told you about. So I wear a thin gold ring on my index finger, and at the end of my first ever Lost Village sets, that was 2021. Bearing in mind, like, I was super small time then. I'd really not been playing dance music for a very long time, and I got like picked up by a chauffeur from the station. I was like, who is this bitch? Like, it made me feel like that when I was, getting picked up and dropped off, and I played this amazing set at the Bureau of the Lost. And again, that'd been a 3-hour set, and I'd really built it up from, like broken beat and some very like Latin inspired deep house, and then kind of ended on, I think I probably ended on Jocelyn Brown's Somebody Else's Guy, like big kind of ending belter, but had gotten up there with the house. And this guy had proposed to me at the end. He said, will you marry me? And gave me what is now a ring on my finger. But at the time I thought it was a keyring ring pull, so I just chucked it in my pocket, went yep thanks, and like carried on with my day.
So you're engaged.
So I'm technically engaged. I know. And then I must have just chucked the trousers on the side, and then I was going to put them in the wash, and I was going through things. I was like, oh, this is an actual ring. And I looked inside, and it's solid gold. And so I've actually been wearing it ever since. And I always think that's like, when people ask you about your jewellery,
yeah,
a lot of my jewellery has a really nice story to it, and I love telling that story, because that for me as well, I remember getting home that night, driven to the hotel, I think one of the first times I'd ever been given a hotel after a gig, and I was like buzzing, because I was like, this is what I want to do now. I feel like this is me making headway into being a DJ, because before it'd just been like playing in pubs and bars around London, and that made me feel like I was legit. So it's like a nice memorable moment from that one.
Do you have a dream lineup if you're going to curate, let's say, a festival? Who would you call upon? It could be living,
or
dead,
deceased. So we when we briefly touched on this earlier, I was saying I'd do a festival, and I'd have like a punk rock hardcore stage, I'd have a soul stage, I would have obviously a couple of different electronic music stages, I think. What was my fourth stage? Soul, punk rock, rockabilly, yeah. I'd have, so like Elvis would headline the rockabilly stage, with Jackie, like co-headline with Jackie Wilson. Amy Winehouse would cover the soul stage, obviously. I'd probably have Good Charlotte headlining over on like the punk rock, pop punk, and I'd probably have someone like Deftones, Head Automatica, Slipknot. So we're going full hardcore on that side. And then on the electronic music side, I still love Kerry Chandler. I'm a big fan of this guy called Bruno Furlan and Deef. They both make some wicked like tech house I'm obsessed with at the moment, so I'd like to see both of them. Chloe Kaye, who's my favourite DJ at the moment, who's just absolutely killing the game. And then I'd probably have someone like Seth Troxer and Scream doing like an old Circo Loco back to back, because that's when I first fell in love with dance music, was like when I first got to uni when I was 18, 19, and I was just like hitting clubs every single weekend, and I saw Scream about 8 times and like fell in love with him. And then on the soul stage, Leroy Hudson. I'm so in love with Donny Hathaway at the moment. It's been a Donny Hathaway supremacy year for me for sure. And Stevie Wonder. So I don't know what the budget is, but I think we've gone over budget already.
I know. Endless budget for this one.
Yeah, endless budget.
And I know you've played some back-to-backs previously. Is there anyone that you haven't played back-to-back yet that you would like to?
Yeah, I'd love to go back-to-back with Chloe. Like, I remember I've just always really liked what she's done. I really like her vibe. I like where she plays. And then she has just like been playing some amazing gigs recently, and someone wrote on one of my mixes like, oh, Chloe Kaye, watch out. And I was like, cool, I'm coming for you. So I'd love to do a back-to-back with her personally. I think she'd be wicked.
Just wondering if you have anything else coming up that we haven't talked about, any gigs, any releases? I know you said you have a third.
Yeah, I've got quite a few tracks that I'm waiting to get signed at the moment, but I think I've made one. I literally made a track yesterday that I love, like I fell in love with it, and I've made it. It's got very kind of like pumpy 80s house vibe, like in love with it. So I'm thinking maybe I'm just going to put that out with another track as an EP. I've got a few good gigs coming up. I'm in Berlin this coming weekend, which will probably have been gone by the time this goes out. That will be my first time playing in Berlin. And then I've got Lost Village again, which is always the highlight of the year. Potentially out in the States with a gig in LA in September. And just, a few other bits and pieces. So looking forward to that. But mainly just going to focus on music and getting more releases out, to be honest.
What kind of advice would you give to people out there just trying to
make it? I mean, I need the advice myself, to be honest, because it is such a hard industry, and it's only getting harder with like so many clubs shutting and so many more DJs coming out of the woodwork. And there's like, it feels like there's less going on, but there's more people to fit in. So you definitely have to know that this is for you, and you definitely have to have a thick skin, because you'll get so many rejections. But I would just say find what you're passionate about, because I wouldn't, I've had periods of time where I've lost my motivation because I've lost the passion for what I'm doing. If things become slightly boring, you can't, at the end of the day, we all have to live, we all have to make money. I was just sitting there, you're allowed to have downtime though. If you're in this motivationless period, just see it as a breather. And then when you start finding, like yesterday I was saying, I made this tune that I fell in love with. Now I'm like excited to make more and more songs. You need to just ignite your passion in what you're best at. So if it's radio, start your podcast. I'm talking to myself here as well. If it's music, start getting those mixes out there. If you want to make music, just start. You can get free trials on Ableton. There's always a way. Where there's a will, there's a way. So just keep at it. And then if it's not for you, it's not for you. Like it's not the end of the world. What I've realized recently is you can love things and not have them be your career. Like you can love certain types of music and not have it be incorporated into how you produce money, because we've just made everything like a product these days, haven't we? Like you can't have a hobby without making it a product, whereas I just want hobbies now. So we are allowed to like just love going out raving and not have it be our whole career.
And probably like not trying to make something for everybody, like make something that speaks to your passion and your interests.
Not everyone's going to love what you do, like that's for certain. So many people really dislike what you do, and that's where the thick skin comes in. But that's why it's important to just know that not everyone's always going to love your sound and love your style, but as long as you're true to yourself. I remember at one point a couple of years ago, everyone started playing hardcore and jungle, and I was like, that's not my shit, that's not my jam. So I'm not going to change my path just because it's what's in. And now they're all trying to get in on the house vibe, and I was like, of course you are, because this is, I don't know, I'm just saying from my opinion, I'm like, this is the good shit, like this is where I want to be. But I always just think, don't falter from what you love. You're playing what you love because you love it for a reason.
All right, Scarlett, this was so lovely to chat with you. I'm excited for your Berlin gig. So am I. So we'll look forward to a mix and a feature featuring you.
Thanks.
Right, thank you.
Bye.
This episode of Afters was produced, edited, and directed by Anthony Cuellar. Mastered by Rhino Clark. Recorded by Scarlett OMalley in London, England. Original music by Nicolo Bernardi. Stream episodes of Afters on your favorite podcast platform now. Be sure to follow Afters, the pod, on SoundCloud for exclusive mixes from these podcast interviews, along with a brand new mix series. Thanks for listening.